welcome to this episode of the Gunman. In this video I'll be teaching you guys how to dry paint strip a panel for the purpose of paint rectification. I'll be also including the filler repair and primer work stages. So the car that we'll be demonstrating on is a ML350 Mercedes Benz, and the paint code and the colour name is Tavertin Beige Met Paint 1693. So this is actually the second video I've done on this same car. We had to wet strip the front door, and we decided to dry strip the rear door on this same car. So those of you who watch most of my videos will probably remember I did a video on how to paint strip the door on this car. This stage will just be dry stripping the rear door on it. So you may remember that we had some flaky clear, so the entire door on both doors, and we ended up having to strip right back and take all the clear coat off because someone had done blends here without doing their preparation correctly. It was a neighbouring panel shop which I hear has recently gone out of business, and it's not hard to see why when they're doing work like this. Okay, so you've seen I've actually identified a couple of small low spots. They're just a couple of dents, and there's no use in painting. When you've gone to this amount of effort to strip a panel back, there's no use in painting over something like this. So I decided just to put a bit of 2-pack filler inside those low spots. I'm using the Worth brand, and it's extra fine polyester filler. It's about 50-to-1 ratio with hardener, and then you just mix it up with your applicator. So I decided to do that before I'd finished sanding, just for the sake of utilising my time correctly. So while that's drying, I can continue on sanding the rest of the doors down. So that's a good idea to do stuff like that. Just think about your drying times, and if you can incorporate your drying times in with keeping yourself busy, then it's going to save time, and there won't be any need for you to be waiting around for stuff. So I'm using 80 grit, and I'm also using the softback interface pad, and obviously I'm using the dust extraction as well. So 80 grit to start off with. I then went over the entire thing with 180 before I primed it. Because sometimes if you go over it with straight over 80 grit, you might end up getting some little pigtails and some shrink back and stuff like that. So, and now that I'm happy, I've got the affected clear coat removed. You can see that filler's dried down, and I'm able to start sanding into it. I'm starting off just with an old piece of 80 grit to start off with, and then I'll end up finishing it off with some 180. Just using those little soft blocks is perfect for this job actually, and you can see I'll end up just giving it a quick rub by hand too. Just your fingers can sometimes actually create the right shape for some of the you can see that's a concave shape there that we're trying to make, so there's no use in using a dead flat block, because it's not a dead flat area that we're trying to shape. So I'll just quickly touch on the fact why I'm actually doing the job this way. You might look at this job and say, well, you wet stripped the front door, why are you dry stripping the rear door? There is a reason, and the main reason is because they didn't want to pull the door off, and I'm not the boss, I do what my boss tells me. I said, how do you want to go about this job? He said, I just want to leave the rear door on because there's a lot of wiring involved and stuff like that. He just didn't want to get involved in it. He goes, I've already pulled the front door off, but he didn't want to do the rear door. I said, okay, no worries, I'll just do it your way then. So that's why. Look, you probably could still use wet paint stripper when it's on the car, but I just wouldn't run the risk, to be honest. I'd spend that little bit extra time with the sander in my hand rather than risking a bit of that paint stripper. All it has to do is creep through your masking, end up on the car, and then you've made a bit of a mess out of it. So that's why I decided to just to do it dry, just with the sander, and ended up with a pretty good result. So my main objective was to get that clear coat. You could sort of see the affected clear coat before, and it just wasn't sticking. So as you saw there, I also went over the edges, all those edges where any of the clear was, just by hand, the bits that you can't get to with the orbital sander. Scuffed them back until I was happy that the affected clear was gone, and then given the whole thing dust down with the high pressure air, wiped it down with some wax and grease remover, and then I've given it a good edge mask, make sure I'm not going to get any spots where my primer's going to come through, because I'm going to be spraying my primer on. So you can have a look around. All those edges are quite nice, and I've used some of that trim taping around that the rubber that's on the door frame there. And next up, I'll be using the PPG 1K CF Etch Primer, which is a good quality etch primer. I just find it just about sticks to anything. You don't even need to sand this prior to putting your primer on, as long as you've sort of done it within the hour. If you'd left it more than an hour, I'd probably want to give it just a light scuff back with some 500 to 240, anything in between there would be fine. So just let it flash off for a few minutes. As you can see, it's turned dull, and I'm then using my Standox light grey VOC Primer Filler. It's one of the best primer fillers on the market. It sands down really nicely. You do pay a premium price for this stuff, but it's definitely worth it when you're using it on an everyday basis. And yeah, when you need to get jobs done quickly, sometimes some workshops, they try to scrimp and save on their materials, but it can end up being a false economy, because you end up using twice the amount of sandpapers on the primers that just keep clogging up the sandpapers. So this gun, since this video, I actually don't have this gun anymore. Well, I do have it, but it's basically useless now. I think it cost me about $50 on eBay. It was a great idea, you know, save a few bucks and have my own primer gun. And even I don't do that much primers myself. Like, usually the apprentices do the prime ups. I might have got about 10 uses out of this gun. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. Maybe 10 to 20 uses out of it, and it doesn't work anymore. It's basically just a piece of rubbish. And the spray fan sprays off to the side, the seals have you know, seized up, and it leaks, and it's just, yeah, I'm not going to try it got this primer on, okay, I'm not trying, like, it's got a couple of nice coats on here, but it just because it's a cheap gun, it just didn't last. That's about all it is. So you can see, yeah, it's pretpretty nice wet even coat over the whole thing. I've decided to include some footage of the car when it's all finished off, but just for this video, it was just the dry stripping on the rear door and the re-priming and the filler repair. So I think it'll probably be another 2 more videos till this job's finished off, because I did get some more footage of the prep work and the paint work for you guys. So hang around at the end here. I've got a couple of my personal favourites. There's 2 good gun reviews, one on the left, one on the right. The one on the left is a comparison video. You'll be able to see my comparison from a cheap gun to a expensive gun. And I've also got my starter DeVilbiss versus Iwata review and demo here on the right. So check them out, view my channel. Thanks for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.